Take it away.
Hello! Hi everyone, I'm Gala and I'm gonna be showing off the Splatter speedrun today. I'm excited to get to show it off. So the time will start when I press new game, which will be in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, welcome everyone. This is Splattermaster. Splattermaster is a action adventure beat 'em up on the PlayStation 2. It was a part of the Simple 2000 series, which was a series of low-budget Japanese games that were released on the PlayStation 2 with the low budget. And this was one of them. And I think even with a low budget, they did a really good job at creating a very cute and kind of creepy game. So I hope you'll like to see it. So yeah, you play as a scarecrow who is going to be he is going to be punching and kicking his way through the levels. I'll just explain a little bit of the story of the game because I understand that this game is a little bit obscure for PlayStation 2. So you might not know about it, but that's okay. I'll get to explain it a bit today. So you play as a scarecrow. Now this scarecrow was brought to life as well as a lot of the inanimate objects in the game such as fuel, tractors, and a lot of other things that shouldn't be alive, but they were brought to life by an evil wizard that came to the town of this game. And he brought all these things to life or made them evil, like the frogs as well. But the scarecrow that was brought to life, he is good and he loves his farmer parents, who are this elderly couple that lives on the farm, which is like this first stage. So his mission is to defeat the big bad wizard and rescue the humans that have fled from the area to let them have their homes back. So he's fighting for us right now. And yeah, there's a lot of evil things that he will be versing throughout the game. For the speedrun, there's a lot of resource management and also knowing where the enemies will be spawning, so you can defeat them first. Our little scarecrow also has a chainsaw that he will be using to defeat some of the mobs in the game. On the top left hand corner there is his life, which are these little hearts, and then underneath he has a gas bar, which is for his chainsaw, which we'll get to see in some points in the run. Mainly going to be using it when there's lots of mobs around, so you can slice multiple mobs at a time. Now we just have to defeat this guy. This one's coming out, and then also the other big bird. Now we have the boss of this mission, who is a large crow. I don't know if there's any crow furries out there, but sorry, you're gonna have to get beaten up today. So we gotta beat up this big burly crow. And his boss fight is pretty simple for the first boss fight in the game. Because he gets stunned every time you do the 3-hit combo on him, you can stun him until he gets beaten up. So that was the first mission. Now we have the second mission, which is the Ghost Street. So it's like, it's a ghost town now because all the people are gone and all the mischievous monsters are out to play. So we have the little enemies made out of fuel. And then there's also a new enemy type, which is like these little hounds in trash cans. Little little gremlins kind of thing. They kind of look like wolves too. I'm not exactly sure what they are. They're like maybe bandicoots or something. But they're in the trash cans. And even though they're not actually required enemies to fight, we do want to get rid of them because the way that the game works with spawning enemies is that the next required enemy will spawn in once there's like an available spot, once another enemy dies. And sometimes it's actually faster to defeat those enemies that aren't required because then the enemies that are required will spawn in. Another thing also really important is currency. So in the game, there are gold coins that get dropped from enemies, and then you can use them to purchase items at the shop. There are a few different things that you buy, but the main things that we want to focus on is life and gas. Life will give him more hearts, and gas will increase his chainsaw meter. So he can use the chainsaw a bit more. Chainsaw becomes quite a bit important, yeah, when mob fights get involved. Because he does this spin with the chainsaw, and he can defeat enemies very fast. This is the boss of this stage. Her name is Candy. You can kind of get a little bit hint from the sign that says Candy Burgers. She throws out these explosive hamburgers. And you have to punch them back or hit them back at her to blow her up. She is a bit of a random boss in that she has quite a few different moves that she can do. Like she can do a laser. She can summon enemies out of her burger restaurant. She's actually being really kind to us right now by throwing hamburgers, because that's the main way that you can do damage to her, but sometimes she will stall and do lots of other moves rather than throw her hamburgers. She sends out her customers to come beat us up. She can also do lasers. But we need her to throw the explosive hamburgers so then we can hit them back at her. And I'll use the chainsaw to hit them back a lot of the time because the chainsaw has a very wide range. She's being very mean now. Oh, there we go. Sometimes the hamburgers don't go towards her either, but there we go. We now defeated her. Her eyes pop out and we get some coins. Very good. Now, because we unlocked the shop this mission, now whenever we finish a chapter, we'll get access to the shop. And we can buy some upgrades and things like that. Now we have the scrap factory. So we're in like a factory setting. There's quite a lot of enemy mobs that spawn in on this mission. Now when you hit multiple enemies together with the chainsaw, it will give like this little effect on the screen, and you'll also get extra currency. I want to be a bit wary of my currency going forward because there are some expensive items that I want to purchase. So I do want to try and make sure that I have good currency for the speedrun. Just beat these guys up. There's also these little jets of steam. They injure our protagonists, so we don't want to be in front of them. Get lots of coins. This new enemy type comes in where it's the little fuel dudes, but they have a mask on them, which means they've got a bit of armor and they take more hits. Here we have to use this press to push down the buttons so that we can get through the laser door to the side. Now this one is a lot faster. I'm going to try and use this one to defeat the enemies for me. Because it's a lot faster, it's really easy to get caught underneath it. But we're going to try our best, make sure that we try and get the enemies to be underneath it and not me. Hopefully. Now there's one final enemy that will be here. Try and get him stepped on. Like that. There we go. Now another enemy type, which I call the policeman. They're like this snail that has a little police siren on top of them. And we can take them down with the chainsaw. 2 slashes of the chainsaw you can take them down with. In those barrels there's always fuel, so I want to make sure that I get that fuel. And then there's this guy. Oh. Now we go here. We get the heart, and that's always a heart there, so I make sure I get that, because my health is going to be rather important for the next boss. Because for some of the bosses, I like to try tank them a bit, so I can remain aggressive during the fight. We're almost there. Now we just got this mob to deal with, these mobs. The little steam jets, you can use them to actually hit the enemies for you. Whoa, that hit me a little bit too much. Hopefully he gets hit by that. There we go. And now we can have the boss, which is a big cog or wheel like in a factory. And he's got eyes, and he says danger all over him, and he's got those very cool Guy Ferrari flames on him as well. He has a few different moves. This is one of them. When he does that, I have to try not get hit by the lasers, but can it be a bit hard to predict? Now this is one of his moves where he summons the steam jets. If you stay in the corner though, they typically won't hit you unless he brings the jet to the side. And then we can beat him up. Very good. My currency is also looking pretty good. So we can buy some more items. For the marathon, I try and focus a little bit more on health than fuel. But when doing like PB attempts or like run attempts in my private time, I usually try and focus more on fuel and being more aggressive. Because, yeah, that's how you save a lot of time. But you can get punished a lot for that in this game, particularly on the difficulty that I like to play on. We have more enemies here. The enemies that have the masks on their faces, which does pay homage to Splatterhouse, if anyone knows that game. This game kind of just gives a little homage to that with the masks that the enemies wear. Oh, I didn't mean to go back there. And there are also these little mushroom men that have instruments. Oh, there we go. And I want to use the chainsaw on flying enemies because it helps to reach them. They can be rather annoying to reach. There we go. I'm actually going to collect them. These frogs can be a bit annoying, so we just chop them up. Yeah, these guys, when you're just using fists and punches, they can take quite a bit to take down. Little mushroom dude does his doots with his trumpet. We give him a punch and a kick, and he goes away. Now the flying enemies, yeah, normally they can be quite a hassle to defeat because there is a double jump ability that we're hoping to get a bit later, but we don't have that currently because it costs a little bit. But yeah, it can be hard to reach the flying enemies sometimes. Thankfully I was able to reach him though. The mushrooms spit out a poisonous gas, which staggers and hurts our protagonist. The boss also does that too. This boss is actually really scary in that this poison mist can hit him like 3 times in a row, like just over and over, if he gets stuck underneath it. So you can really get punished with damage in this fight. We're hoping that the little mushrooms sing, but they're not singing for us right now. That's very mean. There they go. It's good when they sing, because then I can stay closer. But if the mushroom does the poisonous mist, I have to go away, because it's actually really dangerous. There is a way to headbutt him on the way back, but that is a very aggressive strategy to use on this guy. So I'm gonna not be as aggressive today. We'll also see if he tries to sweep us with his other arm. There we go. That's a move he can do. And then he'll try and stab us with his conductive wand. He's like a, yeah, conductor mushroom. Now let's buy some more resources. There we go. And now this next mission is in the Wild West setting. And there's a demon train that's going to hell that comes past, and we're going to see him a bit later. Just need to beat up these guys. And there's some that come out of the ground. Unfortunately, you have to wait for them to spawn out of the ground before you can hit them. Now some big birds here. We want to chop them up. And these little dudes as well. Want to get rid of them. Hopefully bop them off in the hole. This guy comes in, I'm like, hey, go away. So I just push him back in the hole. Make him go away. Now there are a lot of enemies that spawn here, so you can really make use of the chainsaw to get lots of currency. Gonna beat these guys out as they come out of the train. Now with the flies, use the chainsaw because it can hit them with ease. This is also a really good mission for currency because you can use the chainsaw to chop up all these groups of enemies that come out. And get lots of currency. The gold coins are 50 each, the bronze are 5 if I remember correctly. And then the silver are 10. Or like the silver and bronze ones take less priority over the gold ones, the gold coins that are 50. Lots of chopping. There we go. Collect as much as I can. Get some fuel. Now I think I actually pushed him back into the train, which is not what you want to do. Sometimes enemies can get trapped behind the train, and you wouldn't want that to happen because you want to be defeating them. Get the flying enemies. And then those guys. And then we finish that screen. And now we have the boss, which is the train. I still remember one time I was streaming this and someone came in and they're like, what happened to Thomas Tank? He's turned into a wrinkly sausage. A wrinkly old demonic train. But yeah, so what I do is I stay over here on the side of him. He can hit me when he comes forward, but if you position yourself, you can get your kicks and punches to hit him without him hitting you. And he goes down in a flash. Very good. Let's see how our currency is. We buy a double jump and we buy a dummy. The dummy we won't use for this upcoming chapter, but we'll use it for the final chapter, which is after this one. So this is Freeze Lake. It is a lovely snowy setting in the game. Lots of enemies to defeat. But thankfully, because my currency was so good, I have all the items that I need for the rest of the run. So that's very good. I don't have to worry about currency for this chapter. I just have to worry about beating everyone up. There are a lot of enemies actually to beat up. There is this ghost that will spawn enemies, but those enemies won't be required enemies, thankfully. You can also hit the ghost so that he goes away a little bit. It's gonna be a little flying fish there. Saved some chainsaw to hit those 2 bats. Oh, there we go. Almost fell down there. We get on the submarine. Now these fish that fly are always the same, so I always go back when I know that there is a fish coming. I jumped a little bit too late there. But I try and double jump so that I can avoid that fish, but I wasn't too good today. That's okay. Beat them up. And then there's another set of enemies that we'll just quickly slice up. Now we just need this guy. He was very aggressive. That's okay. Now the boss of this mission is the moon. So we gotta defeat this evil moon that has a squid on the side of him. And my gamer theory is that that squid is actually a parasite, a demonic squid parasite that has possessed the moon to control the moon. Poor thing. Anyway, that's just my gamer theory. Now this moon, like the moon does in real life, he controls the waves. So what we're going to do is try and make sure I connect those big kicks on him. And when he does the waves, I'll headbutt him each time. Maybe getting a punch as well. But I just focus on getting the damage to that side of him because he breathes mist from his nose. Also try and do a special ending on him. So depending on if you punch them on their final hit or slice them, you get a different animation. because I sliced him, he gets cut in half. That's also the same for all the other bosses. The animation is just a little bit slow there, but I just wanted to show it off for the run. Now we're on the final mission. This mission is really tough because there are a lot of mobs, and there's also two boss fights back to back, or boss bites, I guess you could say too. I mumbled up my words. Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of these guys because they got their face plates on. They a bit more tanky, so they take quite a bit of hits. I'm trying to organize the use of my chainsaw with how I defeat them, because there's not only this screen, but there's also another screen after this one where you have to defeat them. I'm hoping to hit multiple enemies at once with the punches and kicks. There isn't a shop in this mission, so I can't go to the shop with all the coins that I have, which is a bit sad, but they didn't think of that when making the game. That's alright. Try and use the chainsaw when there are a lot of enemies together, and then use punches and kicks for the rest of their health if possible. Yeah, there's a lot of them that spawn in. There's enemies coming from the floor. Sometimes they're aggressive and they run after you, and other days they're just chilling out. Enemy AI is always a bit different every day. I'm gonna keep that there. The reason why I didn't pick up that fuel first was because if you don't have any fuel, or if you have little fuel, the game will want to give you fuel a bit more. So I do that so that I can open the barrels and see if the game will give me a bit more fuel. Trick it a little bit to give me more. There we go. Now we have a new enemy type for this mission, which are called Iron Maidens. Yeah, like Iron Maidens. They want to spit out ghosts at you, but we just give them a good old punch and kick and hopefully defeat them before they can hurt us. Now there's two Iron Maidens here. And then there's going to be some other little enemies around. I'm going to focus on them because sometimes little enemies will crawl to me while I'm over here, so I don't have to travel to them. Oh, they're getting me. Okay. Now there's one enemy that comes from underneath the floor. Just give him a punch and kick, and then he goes away. Now one thing that I had bought, which I wanted to save money for, was a dummy. You can see it below the gas meter. It says dummy with a little picture of a scarecrow. Now what that does is it gives you an instant revive if your health hits 0. This allows you to be a lot more aggressive in this stage, because there's so many enemies, sometimes they'll hit you and you'll take damage, and by having that dummy it means, yeah, I can be a lot more aggressive during this stage. Also helps for this fight because this boss is quite a bit random, and he also has a attack where he summons a crow, which gives him invulnerability, and it is a summon that you cannot predict. It's meant to be queued up when he raises his glass to his lips, but if you're already in attacking him, he will hurt you, and I cannot hurt him. So by having the dummy, see it activated now, my health is back to being full. I can still be aggressive with him. And I'm saving my chainsaw fuel for the final boss, which is going to be after him. But yeah, his boss is a little bit unfun, but because the main way that you do damage is you have to get up to hitting him, because he's always flying around. Sometimes he will come to the floor, and when he does that you can use kicks on him, and the kick does a lot more damage than a headbutt. And when he gets lower in health, he'll want to summon the crow or raven a lot more, where he cannot take damage, which is very bad for speedrun because we want to defeat him as fast as possible. Just keep headbutting him. There's also another move that he can do where he summons the gear. Oh, he's coming to the floor, which is pretty good. Means I can kick him. And as you can tell, the kicks do a lot more damage, which is very good. He decided to summon a crow. That was not very nice. Yeah, he can summon a gear if he has enough time to drink his chalice. There we go. Okay, cool. Now we have the final boss. So after you defeat the wizard, there is no cutscene or explanation of how this happens, but you then fight this guy, who my theory is actually the wizard, but like he's like beast form or something. His like actual form. And you're kind of like in the universe or something. There's like stars behind you, even though there's still the floor of the building or the carpet of the building. I think he just kind of table flipped the whole building up into the universe. Something like that. Now, it's really hard to hit this guy's head. So I use the kicks. The kicks do quite a bit of damage and can reach him from here. I'm saving my chainsaw for when he gets into second phase, because when he gets into second phase, he starts going back like that. Now this is a really weird summon because usually he doesn't summon this. He usually summons the mushroom. I'm just going to hit him a little bit. Come on, my little boy. There we go. And time! Woo! Now that is the end of the game. Sorry, I should have I should have queued when time was. I forgot. So at the end of the game, he defeats the wizard, but because he defeats the wizard's power is withdrawn from the earth, and our little scarecrow friend dies. Very sad. He saved the humans, but in doing so, he sacrificed himself for his grandparents that he loved. Very sad. He's back to being a scarecrow. And yeah, that's one of the endings of the game.
What a very sad story indeed. But give it up for Gala, GG, and congratulations on a very successful and impressive run.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope you all liked it. Thanks for having me.